Hello, everyone. At 5:11 a.m. in the morning, these are when I get my inspirations to come and share a little bit of what's going on in my noggin here, my skull. I hope all is doing well. I hope we've been, taking a look at our fears and seeing where we can, take baby steps to start dismantling them in our lives. I wanted to add a little something more to what I've said about fear in my first video. Fears are mostly illusory, it's mostly conjured in our imagination, other than the obvious, the logical obvious of, your life is physically in danger. You can die or get injured, and it's physically and logically realistic to see that it's a fight or flight moment and I need to do something to save my life or stop myself from getting hurt or injured. Other than that, fear is illusory. It's all conjured in the imagination. For example, I go see my sister, right? Every 3 months or so in Canada, just across the bridge there. It's not too far. But I go see her every 3 months or so to visit. And the last time I've been, the not this last time, but the time before that, coming back home was a bit of an ordeal. My flight got canceled once. They rescheduled it for the next day. Went to the airport. It was the Buffalo International Airport. My sister usually drives me across the border, and I take my flight and I go to New York. So my flight got canceled once. Next day, rescheduled. Went to the airport. They left, and it got canceled again. And so I had to kind of find my way home there. So anyway, I decided to take the Greyhound bus home. So I got in a taxi, a cab, and drove me to the Buffalo bus terminal. And I had to wait like 8 hours in that bus terminal for my bus to come because that was the only available bus because everybody on that flight was scrambling to see how they can get to where they need to get. And I guess some of them needed to go, some of them were going, well, all of them were going where I was going. It's New York to New York flight. So I got one of the last buses and it was 8 hours away and I had to sit in that terminal for 8 hours. I'll just say this about that terminal. It is not an airport terminal. Airport terminal is much more secure, much more spacious, much more comfortable. You don't really have to worry. And the charging stations for your phone actually charges it and charges it faster, a lot faster. But what is that? Well, it's just my skin. Anyway, so I had to wait in that terminal for 8 hours. Couldn't use my phone to entertain myself because if I did, it would bring down the power of my phone. It would deplete the charge, and my boarding ticket was on there, and I had to be able to show it. And it charged my phone very slow. In fact, it went back a little bit sometimes because I was charging it like all day, and it was just very slowly creeping up. And I had to keep my wits about me because there was a lot of shady characters moving through there, and I had to let them know that I ain't no punk bitch. That was a role. That was a line from what is it? That movie with Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan, Rush Hour. The Chinese food scene. You must look it up. It's really funny. Anyway, so to say the least, that was a very long day for me and very stressful. But I maintained. I did a lot of mental work over the past 20 something years. A lot of mental work. Yeah, mind, mouth, moods, and attitudes. That was a Joyce Meyer's teaching back in the day that I took myself through, and it helped a lot. Not to mention the other work I did on my mind, but I digress nonetheless. When I got home, I was spent. I was through. I needed a day or two to kind of recuperate from that day, stress wise. Um, so now 3 months later, I went to go see my sister recently, and I went to book my flight, and yeah, I booked Delta again. But then something in me said, like, paused and was like, Delta, that's the flight I had the last time. And then this moment of fear came in, like, what if it happens again? And then I thought, since I did a lot of work upstairs, I'm able to catch these things now and dissect it and talk through it and talk to it, talk myself through it. So I was like, why should I fear that this will happen again? This is a brand new day, 3 months later. Why should I expect for this to happen again? So I was like, you know what? No. I face my fears. I don't allow it to kind of make my decisions for me anymore. So I booked the flight, and the same process that tried to begin for fear and put me in a loop, I switched it and was like, no, this will not happen again. I have no reason, no good reason to expect that the same thing that happened 3 months ago is going to happen today. Everything will be fine. Everything is fine. Nothing will go wrong because there's no reason for me to think that. So I'm not going to entertain the thought. I'm just going to entertain the thought that all is well and all will be well. I booked the flight with Delta again, and all was well there and back. And I thought, like, wow, this happens to us every day, every week, every month, every year. And before you know it, we're living our lives thinking we're making new decisions, fresh new decisions, but we're not. We are making decisions that are in a loop, that's in an unconscious loop from the past, thinking we're making new decisions. All we need to do is be triggered. Something in our present day moment triggers us to an experience that created fear in the past, right? We get triggered. Just because you get triggered, it doesn't mean that the present day situation that triggered you is the exact situation from the past. You have to sit in it. You have to dissect it. You have to ask some questions of yourself so you can see it clearly and make a fresh, new, conscious decision in your favor. But when you don't sit in your decisions and ask some questions before you make them, internally or out loud, it's up to you, we end up putting ourselves in loops of fear for small little things to the bigger things. And we think we're making conscious new decisions as we go from day to day, but we're not. We are making old decisions that we made in the past out of fear because we got triggered, and it's all on a like a conveyor belt loop cycle of unconsciousness, unconscious decision making. So I ask you to ask yourself, look at your life. Look and see where you are making unconscious fear decisions, from the smallest of things to the bigger, huge decisions and more important things in your life. Where are you making these unconscious fear decisions? Because you're not in fight or flight. I mean, well, you are actually. You're responding in fight or flight for a non-fight or flight response situation. The only way we should be honoring our fear is when your life is actually in danger, when it's a moment of life and death, or grave injury, or that's the only time fear makes sense on this planet. Other than that, it's all illusory. It's all in your imagination, and you have control of your own imagination. Don't let it be hijacked by fear anymore. Begin the work. Take it one small step at a time, one small baby situation at a time. You don't have to jump into the grandiose fears of our childhood. That's probably somewhere along down the line if you haven't started dissecting that yet. but start small, and then you'll see the pattern of how we've all been roped in to making fear decisions from our past. Um, yeah, I have a lot more to say on fear, but I'm gonna make this video digestible, and I'll be back another time to talk about that. But you guys have yourself a lovely, lovely day, and remember, it's a new day. Each day is a new day, and you have a chance to make new conscious decisions in your favor to get you into the future that you want, the future experiences that you want to experience. And that is how we create our future, in the imagination, one fresh day at a time, one fresh day conscious decision making at a time. And before you know it, you'll be actually having new experiences instead of a loop of the old, because you're making, fear decisions. So it's creating the past experiences and feelings, nothing new. And you find, if you look, you see there's parts of your life that's stagnant, because I'm in that phase now. I'm working myself out of a stagnant area, and I'm catching these things. I'm noticing that I am stagnant, and it's because I'm probably making, you know, old fear decisions, and I got to break myself out of that loop. And so, yeah, I put up stuff around my house, like I write stuff on index cards, stuff that helps me break out of my loops, whatever that is for you, whether it's scripture, affirmations, whatever it is you want your future to be like, look like. Write something down. This is what I do personally, and put it up. I put it up above every light switch in the bathroom. When you sit on the toilet, wherever the wall is that you look, it's there. When you stand up at the sink, wherever the wall is you look, it's there. When you go turn on a light, it's there. So you can read it and you retrain your thoughts. And then you try and notice how you're making decisions throughout the day. Like, you do whatever you can to help your mind get reprogrammed and get out of the loops of fear that you're in terms of decision making from fear. So, with all that said, let's begin to live consciously, one day at a time, one fresh new day at a time. You guys have yourself a lovely, beautiful day on purpose. Consciously create your day the way you want it to be. Much love to you. Keep pushing forward.